Wave and the old equalizer is pretty damn good. But let's get into Champion Select for our final game of the night. SK Telecom versus Flash Wolves. See you later, Froskerin and Raz. Thank you so much for the analysis leading us up to it. And Rusty, there are a lot of things that we can expect from this. And already, like, the top tier champions being banned away, even on the blue side. SK Telecom not wanting to let anything through. Looks like they're playing seriously.
The Thresh and the Galio being banned away from the blue side. They must have that high priority, still looking for the first pick there. It's not going to be a Galio they look towards, and still respect being paid to their opponents. But conversely for the Flash Wolves, the early Caitlyn ban. Again, lots of respect to the AD role there of Bang. Starts to trim down what the best AD carries are going to be. Shows
that Flash Wolves have been doing their research as well, because Caitlyn is probably one of the highest priority champions in the league at the moment in the LCK. Of course, Galio and Zach go without saying.
This goes without saying as a first pick when you ban away the Lee Sin. So again, you have to be, if you're Flash Wolves, you're drafting here, your stake, you're expecting the Elise, and what is your answer going to be is always the response, because Rek'Sai's up and available if they want to try and just out-farm the ganking jungler of Peanut.
And also the Karma being picked away here is also very important. Faker has been showing that he can just pick Karma, neutralize any lane, and then make Bang into a complete monster in the late game if he wants to. Of course, the Rek'Sai, another opportunity, as Cass is going to be hovering his Nidalee just for a bit of fan service. We'll see what he actually decides to pick up here, because Rek'Sai makes a lot of sense, does well into the Elise matchup and can still gank early. But now what do they want to take away? Because there's still a fair bit open that they can gather for themselves.
And a couple of these picks have looked like potential ones. The Cogmore ring's true, but the Ashe in this same role of AD carry will be the place that they go towards, giving themselves a bit of added engage to the team. Of course, Rek'Sai is not that reliable for engage anymore since the changes. On the flip side, though, no hesitation from SKT.
That's a very fast lock-in of the Kalista. And Kalista Rakan is going to be locked away.
You actually got it.
So now we get to experience what is one of the worst things you can possibly do. We'll get to level 6 and we'll demonstrate that one for you. But now Flash Wolves have to decide what they want to take into it, and Tahm Kench makes some sense.
Tahm Kench is usually the pick into Rakan because it's a good denial tool of the engage, but the way that Tahm Kench is meant to deny this is when you dash forwards, you get gobbled up and saved. With the Kalista, maybe that combo starts to shift. In saying that, still the best position, still the best champion to play in that role, and it's right up Sword Art's alley.
The thing that is quite difficult is that you get to play Yo-Yo Rakan when you've got the Fate's Call available to you. So you can Grand Entrance your way in there.
I mean, he already does. He just added an extra.
Yeah. And you just pull him back out again, and then he goes back in again, and then he battle dances back out again, and then he battle dances again. This Rakan is going to be all over the place. Wolf has been a definite MVP for SK Telecom so far this season. He's been playing very, very well, and now has what has been demonstrated as one of the most awful compositions to deal with. I believe Rox Tigers are the ones that abused it against KT, unless I'm incredibly wrong. Papa Smithy will correct me if I am, but so far the cannon is going to be taken away. No opportunity for Huni to go ballistic on that pick towards the top side of the map. And the Renekton is going to be the answer. So top lane going to be looked at here between Huni and MMD.
Yeah, fairly big focus so far with the two bans coming out. You've got your Rumbles, you've got your Jarvans of the world running around still as potential picks up there. And then you've got your niche options as well. If they want to go towards the Jax, if it's just going to become the LMS special, there's going to be avenues that they can attack here. And so we'll look towards this with bated breath as to where both of these teams will go. Flash Wolves are on the red side of the Rift, though, so they can save that as a counter pick if they would like to just make Huni reveal.
Yeah. First option here. So LCK looking to ban away the final top laner potentially. Could be the Fiora if we were going to continue down that route, but maybe there's something that they want to get rid of. As Kled is going to be removed. So not going to allow...
Very valid ban.
Yeah. Extra engage opportunities here for Flash Wolves. That is going to be the Rumble that was left open. And Huni, of course, a phenomenal Rumble player in his own right. We're a bit spoiled for Rumbles over in the LCK at the moment.
You've got to wonder as well, Rumble should be the lock unless they have a higher priority. And again, they want to go towards that counter. You've got your Fioras, you've got your Jaxes there. Still makes the most sense lock in the Rumble. And now Huni has the option, of course. He does like his carries here and there. He dabbles into the carries.
Yep, he dabbles in,
I mean abstract carries.
Yeah, or the champions that you have available in League of Legends is what he dabbles in, I believe. As that is going to be the Jax, so Huni's going to lock that one in. Haven't seen him play it so far this season personally. But of course, there is an SKT Jax skin, so very, very fitting.
You've got to try your hardest with this Jax pick to continue to outscale, but it's in a very different way to what MMD will provide us. We're also going to be seeing the Talia from Faker, which means Maple will have his hand at seeing what he wants to play against that one. I was surprised that, you're right, he didn't go towards the full Kalista build, Karma build rather, when he's got a Kalista and a Jax that he could empower here, Faker, but wants to be roaming around the map.
Yep. Of course, that Karma was hovered at the beginning of the draft by the Flash Wolves, so SK Telecom would have had that one in their minds, but Faker's Talia has looked
amazing.
So good. Yeah, I know that, like, I was saying that and in the middle of it, I'm like, well, he's Faker, so of course it looks amazing, but particularly amazing.
Well, you have to say, like, even if you're a really good player, you look good on something, there are still degrees of good. And he has looked exceptional on it. We have seen some highlights running around here and there of the walled usage even as an example of it, but it does feel like the kind of champion where Faker would excel.
Yep, able to just obliterate people, but he has to deal with Maple's LeBlanc. We always know Maple as the assassin player in the mid lane of old, but has been dabbling in a few more sort of control mage picks. In fact, his most picked champions have been sort of the relatively standard ones, a little bit tame, but the LeBlanc has always been there in his wheelhouse. And this composition actually looks very, very scary from a pick perspective, and they have so much vision control with that Rek'Sai-Ashe combination.
So I think the word pick is the right place to start here, Atlas. The LeBlanc, you've just mentioned what it's able to do. He's going to be against the Talia that has heal and flash. Not going to have a cleanse, and the Rek'Sai is the jungler for the side of the Flash Wolves, and so if LeBlanc hits the chain, there is no way to disengage for Faker. He has to try and use the shove before the chains actually hit, and if it does hit, Casa is just a flash knock-up away from a guaranteed kill, basically, with the amount of damage LeBlanc and Rek'Sai are able to do. So there's mid lane pressure if the jungler has pressure, but that's where Peanut comes in. And can he control the river area? Can he place the wards? Or is Caster actually going to be able to sneak around and get through? I know Rek'Sai has very creative pathing when it comes to ganks.
And it depends on who's going to get the shove as well. It has been a statement that we've been making over and over again, but who is going to get the push on these lanes and where the jungle is going to be able to attack, given the fact that we may have these lanes going backwards and forwards. There is a lot of shove out of Talia early, so expect SKT to try and get Peanut amongst it early on as we hop on to Summoner's Rift for the final time today. Still 3 more days to go, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry too much. There's going to be way more action. But SKT versus Flash Wolves, this is certainly one that you don't want to miss. And we'll see whether Flash Wolves can make a good start early on.
They'll certainly need to. Of course, most teams, you'll know that there is a clock before you just really have no chance. So you'll try your absolute hardest to get in there early. It's also an LMS region team where getting an early lead just accelerates how they'll play the games out. And historically, when you have seen Flash Wolves take on SKT, the early leads have been what it actually takes to be able to beat the SKT side here if you are Flash Wolves. And a lot of that has revolved through Casa and Maple, and Sword Art now on the Tahm Kench, able to roam around the map, will have the crucial Betty on Ashe next to him. Because when you look at the engage of the Flash Wolves roster, a lot of it's the Ashe.
Yeah, that one will have to be landing. And the thing that I want to talk about is that feeling that SKT as a team has unique to them that they give you. I know that sentence was absolutely terrible. But SKT tend to make you feel like even if you have a 10,000 gold lead, you probably won't win. This is the amount of pressure that they have. It's just, yes, SKT might be losing, but you never feel like they're actually going to lose until that Nexus is destroyed.
And you know what's curious though? Well, like, that's definitely a valid point, and I agree with that feeling that it definitely gives to people. But when you look at the LMS and the LPL regions, most of the regions that you'd say have been able to beat SKT, whether it's best of ones or best of anything, it's knowing how strong you are opposed to knowing who you're playing against. And you turn labels off. I feel like that is one thing that the LMS and LPL regions excel at. Flash War is a good example of it.
Yeah, no, that is definitely true. Looking back to 2015 for some of that information with EDG being able to take down SKT. Faker's LeBlanc also suffering the first
WE at MSI is still the place that you'd look towards next, you know. Xie playing like there was no such thing as a lane opponent that is the best in the world. He just plays like it's a Lucian against anyone matchup, you know?
Xie also played incredibly well that tournament.
Early
Xiao's another option as well, who has outplayed Faker in the mid lane before. So, of course, not infallible, but they just have so much control and so many answers to everything going on around Summoner's Rift, which is why they're such a formidable team, because it feels like you have to throw perfect League of Legends at them if you are going to win, because if you make any mistakes, they know how to capitalize.
And speaking of early movements, though, Atlas, we did see some movements from the mid laners of both of these teams. A deep ward placed by Faker into the red side jungle will find Kasa, most likely. He's also trying to navigate his way around that vision and may be able to do so successfully to the point of a mid lane gank. We mentioned this as a possibility, always a lingering thought if the chains hit. They do not.
They don't, and in fact, Faker is a lot of damage from that threaded volley.
Also keep in mind, Peanut was here, so if he committed to the flash knock up there, Kasa, he would have been counter ganked. Peanut has a level advantage. He's been completely running around the map uncontested. And so it was a good look, but the look does not translate.
Actually hasn't taken his Krug camp as well, so don't look at the number next to the CS. Peanut probably ahead as far as that experience is concerned. Those Krugs, now that they spawn many little Krugs, are very misleading.
Always the Ivern inflation.
Yeah. Okay, Kasa, he's make his way in again. Just dry blind, like it. He's blind as well. Probably doesn't.
Partially holding the minions, but I don't think the.
Whoop. Green's gonna not land.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think the LeBlanc will actually hold the wave, but he does. So, for what it's worth, Kasa, whilst it looked a little bit clowny for him to just rock up mid lane and walk through the lane, he gives a freeze to Maple, who has teleport, so he'll be able to hold that, even lose a bit of health for it. Faker's in base and is walking back now. Not the worst outcome.
And he's going aggressive. Nice trade with all of his buttons available. Also still has half of his mana bar. A little bit mana gated early is the old Jax, but good scrap shield timing there from MMD, who just burns down this hockey player. Yeah,
and you'd still have push in the Rumble versus Jax matchup pretty much 100% of the time. Your base damage increases. Kind of handy against a champion like Jax when you're going to be trading like that. He won't be returning the damage back to you anytime soon. We're looking towards the first purchases. Big item spikes are what you'd be expecting from Huni, and a lot of split pushing from the top laner of SK Telecom.
Yeah. Also looking for MMD to still have control early on, like you mentioned. So we'll see whether it is going to give an opportunity for Peanut to possibly gain.
Yeah, namely with these top laners as well, though, the one big point you'd be looking at is the objectives. And again, Rumble excels at taking those objectives. Jax, not necessarily, as junglers.
Yep, Kasa actually, I don't even think was aware of Peanut being around, as see Peanut on the screen down there as well. Sorta has eaten an Ashe. Going to spit him back out. Bet he had about half health, but Bang's going aggressive. Dancing around on his Kalista.
One of the cool things about this bottom lane 2v2 is that Wolf always becomes the frontliner. And against the Tahm Kench, whilst you'd say Tahm Kench is a good matchup for denying damage onto Betty, in the same vein, Sword Art has to hit Wolf most of the time. And if Sword Art's hitting Wolf, then it's pretty much impossible to gobble somebody in the 2v2. He's always going to get out safely. It's just way too much mobility there.
Good news for Betty is the fact that they're
this is actually dangerous.
Faker's in trouble, yeah. Tanking up minions is Maple, who pops himself back and understands that he doesn't necessarily have the cooldowns to take him down, but whoa, catching your breath. Faker, of course, not infallible.
Has still got the summoners there. Maple chooses the safe way out. Doesn't force the heal or flash out of Faker, though. So, again, good reservations, and everything will just calm back down. That's the teleport advantage used by LeBlanc, now completely removed. And another forced recall, though. Really poor timing for the Talia.
Well, speaking of poor timing, not going to get the knock-up, but there are not enough Ren stacks in there to lock Betty down. Teleport comes in, heal comes out to save the life of the Ashe. As in goes MMD. The equalizer's there, and First Blood is going to go to the Rumble. Wolf has to sacrifice himself, and SKT just a little bit too aggressive. That's not the real Maple. As now Bang just throws sticks at him because he's upset.
It's definitely not the real Maple. Huni's teleport also gets cancelled. He's not going to have that to even come back to the top lane and reset, which means the major benefactor of this is going to be MMD, even cancelling the recall. And that is a momentum builder for the Flash Wolves, to be perfectly honest with you. Again, cancelling these recalls. They've lane swapped. This is a really big tempo build-up for the Flash Wolves. They've seen a small a small opportunity has presented itself, and they're going to try and start to accelerate just that little bit faster.
And they're not letting themselves be bullied here either. Flash Wolves know themselves as the SKT killers, even if the last series didn't necessarily go as they wanted to.
I'll tell you what SKT are, though. It's refillable.
Yeah, that's a lot of, that's 100%. 100% refillable. Nice work. Okay, going for efficiency rather than anything else.
That certainly is going for efficiency. Unfortunately, their item builds in the mid lane, as we mentioned, having a mana crystal is not exactly efficient.
I like how Huni's also got the rejuve bead as well. course, the refillable potion looking a little bit like that previously, and Huni's still going to make the mistake, decides not to buy it back. I like that.
We'll never know if he... No, he intended it. It's fine.
Yeah, he definitely
Obviously working towards his item spikes.
Oh, still good, though. Okay, Spectre's Cowl was the first option here from Huni, so going for a more defensive start to this build, understanding that he can get pushed in, as Bang going to complete that lane swap, but immediately Betty's going to answer it. And Peanut is waiting up here as well. Sorta hanging around. This catfish. Rakan is going to take the long way around.
Yeah, so it still gets matched reasonably quickly by SKT. When we talked about the lane swap just in general, they were up there early. The biggest delay was preventing the Jax from going back to base. Just gives a bit of extra free time for MMD. You start to expect that with the first blood, with the extra time in this bottom lane, it starts to result in maybe even another kill. And Huni actually hold that.
Yeah, there's the flash knock-up as Huni in trouble. Doesn't have the count. Oh, does have the counter-strike. Actually flashes, looking for the follow-up.
He's got him.
One more auto's going to do it. Void Rush not enough to kill Huni, but the damage has been done. Knock-up comes in there. This Spectre's Cow's doing so much goddamn work, but Casa eventually does get the 1-for-1, but that is not what Flash Wolves wanted.
And you'd look at that and say, I cannot believe Huni gets a trade with the Spectre's Cowl, Rejuve beat Jax. But he's able to do it, the level 6 spike coming out just by having the ultimate and repeated whacks into the back of MMD, who actually just overextends massively to try and secure that kill. Doesn't auto-attack, tries to maximize the damage coming out of his Flame Spitter, but doesn't even do that much damage. You're better off auto-attacking Weaving.
Yeah, and in fact, Flame Spitter is not great against the old Spectre's Cowl, as it turns out, as Peanut takes way too much damage. Maple says, remember, I am here and I've got a revolver. That revolver spike is actually silly.
It certainly is. Certainly is. In the same vein, Talia's not going to be spiking with items. It's a Merc Treads, just trying to survive the lane against the Blue Buff LeBlanc. Do not blame him whatsoever.
Yep. Faker just setting himself up to move forward in this game. And often uses his Weaver's Wall more as far as strategic options are concerned, as opposed to trying to secure kills or get picks or cut people off.
I believe he just got spotted. You can see Flash Wolves clinging to be very cautious. A caster's also nearby, to be fair, though. There's a stone's throw away. And whilst you're mentioning, you know, strategically, there is a pretty big strategic option available for both of these teams on opposite sides of the map. Flash Wolves and SKT's bottom lanes are on the top side, but there is an Infernal Drake still present on the bottom side of the map. So if one of these teams decides that the lane swap no longer going to be the case, we're just going to go back bottom, then there is going to be the Infernal Drake. But in order of priority, there's still a Rift Herald. It is now 10 minutes into the game, and he's always going to be an option.
Yep, Faker going to clear out these minions underneath the turret, and you're right, the Callista is up towards the top side as well, so having that Ren for secure would make some sense if they want to take that Rift Herald down. We're currently only 10 minutes into the game. Often we see very late Rift Heralds, at least in the LCK.
If you're trying to get the most efficiency out of your Rift Heralds, you'd be looking towards later into the game.
Everyone's looking for value for Rift Herald, you know?
You can also just use it to break mid as they're going to die of MMD from the looks of it.
Yep, Faker's here.
If they
Equalizer
can.
comes in. Yeah, can they actually clear this one out? Counter-Strike is going to get the stun. Casa is going to turn up. The Cocoon lands him. MMD is going to fall down, and the Weaver's Wall cuts off the escape. Maple dives himself over. Arrow narrowly is avoided via some smooth walking out of SKT, and they do back themselves out. So that is the one pick unanswered by Flash Wolves.
And of course, very well timed Weaver's Wall to secure everybody's escape. They're still going.
There's the flash forward. Peanut is aggressive as ever. He's going to lock down Maple before he even comes out of the stun. Huni and Peanut just trying to make their way back onto the A team here for SKT. And looking very good doing it.
MMD's actually got a deep teleport, still working with Caster from the looks of it, but Faker's here. This is risky from Rumble.
He wants to die as quickly as possible after dying before by the looks of things, and it is going to be that. Huni just empowers him to death with that W. Maybe some miscommunication by Flash Wolves, because that was not the move MMD really wanted to make.
I think that's more than just some miscommunications, unfortunately. That
teleport doing the play-by-play positivity
could
move.
have just went to the turret Atlas, and things would have been okay for the side of Flash Wolves, but that's the Infernal Drake not going to get traded, unfortunately, which is what we suspected would be a play if it happened at all.
Okay, so that Infernal Drake is going to go down. As far as notable leads is concerned, there's not a whole lot. Maple's actually looking to try and grab this kill. Another chain lands. That is a point-blank one. The heal comes in. Faker's still alive, flashes himself over the wall, and is going to live. He was on, like, no health, and look at his face. Just cool, calm, and collected. I calculated that whole thing, guys. Don't worry about it.
Very surprised that he survives there. Maple, you'd expect the second rotation comes through. The distort. doesn't seek its prey. What was that?
That was close. But I decided not to say it. I was emoting it. That was an interpretive dance that you guys missed out on there.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Sounds like Bruce Almighty.
Oh, good movie. Okay. Huni gonna get the counter-strike here
Welcome
and
to
look
the
for
beginning of
another
the
kill. Yeah, is it the beginning though? I feel like this is the middle of the end. MMD's already well and truly past the bridge of this narrative.
For 1v1s, as far as I'm concerned, this is now the beginning of it, because they're actually 1v1ing. But the teleport's gone from MMD. I feel like from the teleport moment, it was the end. But, you know.
Yeah, not great. And now Huni's going to catch up in farm here as well. Shatter Orb not going to land on the Faker, but Maple's going to clear out the wave nicely. He's got his Bilgewater Cutlass. Love that. That pirate flavor for your LeBlanc. He's still got a decent lead as far as farm is concerned. Faker building towards his Morellonomicon, but at least Maple is getting himself towards this mid-game where he might be able to gather some picks, especially onto Bang, which is going to be very important.
Mid lane has been fine for Maple. When you look at the jungle, Caster is still 1-0, has decent CS, is ahead of his opponent in Peanut as well. Faker, no summoner spells currently.
And it's going to get dived on here. Does have those Merc Treads, so not going to be stunned for too long, but actually even as far as the trade is concerned. Maple not exactly happy about that. He shot him with a sword. Normally that means you win, right?
Shooting people with swords? I don't know if that directly translates to wins. But
well, I mean, it's a pretty crazy thing to do. If you can make a sword shoot, I'd probably give it to you, you know?
Maple says no to that theory.
Yeah, actually says no to a lot
they got him.
Of his health buff. That is going to be the stun, and the knock-up's all too easy from Casa. He invested his flash, but that is Faker dead inside of SKT.
You can hear the sixth man of the crowd as well backing up Flash Wolves every time they get a kill as Bang and Betty are going at it.
Yeah, Arrow is going to land here as well as Betty just looking for a couple more autos. Flash heal having to both be used by Bang. Still going for the fight after missing the Pierce as well is not what you want.
No, and one of the rare mistakes you'd have to imagine coming out of it. In a 1v1 against Betty, still the two summoners going to be there for the Ashe. Unfortunately for him, no mana, is relying on some lucky crits throughout clearing this wave to have any at all, because he has that Essence Reaver spike, and funnily enough, was able to use that to a great deal of success.
Yeah, Essence Reaver spike is an interesting thing to talk about as well.
Because it's not a spike.
Yeah, and it's Zaya's that have been the ones picking up that item. Some Jins as well, possibly, but it's been a while since we've seen Ashe pick that item up.
We've seen it in the LPL when AD carries have lost so hard that they've just realized that their two longswords need to become something.
And so they build it into a hammer.
Yet, this is a conscious attempt, obviously, as he is not losing hard. He's doing quite well for himself, Betty. It's just the cooldown reduction build. And you're right, it is rare that we have seen it that often recently, especially with the resurgence of the many crit items as a build. And Blade of the Wrong King is still the staple for Ashe. But here we go, the direction that Betty wants to take this, the direction that Flash Wolves want him to take this seems to be more arrows all of the time. And we've already highlighted, he's a pretty big part of the engage for this team.
Yeah,
so he needs to throw them out all the time.
And he's got a lot of follow-up as well. If he is able to land that arrow, then you get the tunnel into one burrow from Casa, doesn't need to invest the flash, and you've got the chains from Maple as well to layer on top. So I like it a lot. If you can actually make this one work, it's a good idea, especially if you've got then an equalizer. As far as a team fight setting after that pick is concerned, they've got a lot of follow-up, but it's the best way to start these fights off.
And interestingly enough as well, we said beginning of the end for the 1v1. MMD still has the level 11 spike. He still has the item spikes when it comes to team fighting specifically, where... Oh, hold up.
It's revenge.
They got him.
There it is. The
nope,
Callisto combination as the arrow is going to soar by gracefully.
And that was Maple's teleport as well. It wasn't even MMD, so that's actually not that bad of a trade as an end result here for Flash Wolves.
However, they do manage to get free summoner spells just by pressing R buttons. And these aren't exactly big R buttons to be pressing as well, as Maple's going to find a chain-ish, I believe, onto a Spiderling before Peanut went up into the sky.
Whilst it's not a bad trade.
Oh.
Hold that for a second. I've actually caught him.
Yeah, that is just going to be the Langer CC. All too easy. Faker throws out some pebbles and picks up the LeBlanc. And I wasn't expecting that to be a kill either. Peanut just threaded the needle on the cocoon and picked up the kill.
Long range shove, long range cocoon, and SKT, they weaved their way into a pick onto the mid lane. Well, I was going to say, maybe they come up to top lane and impact this, but they're fighting.
Yeah, doesn't matter. No knockup's going to come in here, but the Devour has to be used and invested. Sort of spits out Betty. Those sticks go back over to him, and they win the trade handily, and the turret falls down in the mid lane.
Yeah, breaking that turret, actually growing themselves
blood as well.
a gold
17.5 minutes.
And that's the Talia wall. No flash on the Ashe.
Oh dear, that is going to be the shove back onto Sword Art. They want to take this kill first as the flash is used, and Betty is going to sacrifice himself, but Faker has to be healed. and that was very, very close to the trade-up kill.
Of course, Faker has his own heal just back off cooldown. Will live. Betty dies. Sword Art chooses not to save his AD carry and flash over the wall with him inside his mouth.
Yep.
Instead, will try and save himself, graciously surviving throughout all of that. But SKT, they break a second turret at the exact same time as all of this pressure starts to compound. Flash Wolves, you'd have to imagine, the way to play this game out was use the 2 ultimates missing in top lane. Use the fact that Bang has no summoner spells for an extended period of time after the 1v1 with Betty. Bring Maple up top, bring Caster up top, and look to 4-man that. But because they 2v2 mid, they lose, they get picked. They also then get picked top lane as a direct translation of that. And suddenly, SKT in absolute control.
Yeah, and this is what happens. I mean, it's like you give them an inch, they take the game and then the series and things like that, and everything crumbles down, and they get another set of skins, and we're going to have SKT skins all over the place.
Well, it's
like,
not worlds,
this is
but
only
they are
with
ganking
an
Hootie.
inch. Rust is, and he's going to be the chain landing. Good red carpet has to be walked up by all of SKT as soon as he gets himself out. And can SKT get anything back? There's the Fate's Call, as Wolf still has all his buttons available, but not a lot of health. As
There's
the flash
one.
comes from Peanut. He is so bloodthirsty today, as now Bang just looking for Caster. Doesn't get the reset, and that's going to mean Hootie picks up that kill all too easily. And Peanut is underneath the turret, exactly where he wants to be at almost all times. And now Faker coming in for the flank. Maple and Sword Art have to vacate the area, and Betty's just farming topside.
Should be the last remaining outer turret. You can see it now secured by SKT, and you're absolutely right. I was about to raise that in his own environment, natural habitat. It feels like avoiding the entirety of SKT as if afraid. He's sitting top lane. Doesn't get the turret. The teleport's there from Hootie. Everything gets diffused and bested in every possible way.
Well, we've got that Infernal Drake being followed up with the Cloud Drake as SKT lock that one up as well. 100% Drake control as they're 5,000 gold in the lead as we have a look at this one more time.
And remember who makes the play here. Flash Wolves, they're going forwards. They lay down the red carpet. Wolf, 3-man charm, 3-man knock up. You know what? Let's come back to MMD dead.
Aha! Okay, so this is a connect the dots type experience here where we're like, Bang got a kill, Wolf died, sacrificed himself, they went 1-for-1, nicely done, as SKT utilized their man advantage.
I'm going to go ahead and say that MMD with teleport off cooldown decided to teleport behind them and die again.
His teleports have not been the best.
Look, he's consistent.
Yeah, that's very
You have to
true.
admire consistency sometimes.
Do you?
I said sometimes.
You cast Invictus Gaming. They're consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, and I despise that fact.
That's not the kind of consistency you want.
When they win, you love it.
You definitely do. That's because Rookie's so fun to watch. As we are seeing a small scuffle here towards the red side jungle of the Flash Wolves as we digress. But nothing is going to come from it. Bang going to continue farming us. Let's get another one. Let's have a look at this.
Hopefully no action happens during this amount of time. Of course, we get to see an Ash Arrow. You're expecting the teleport from Rumble, and there it is. Way down below. That's very elegant from Faker as well. No summoners from Sword Art and Betty.
Oh, how did that even happen?
They're just left watching as MMD passes away. Maple even stuck down in the bottom corner. That was actually just gorgeous. But MMD traded. And you got to give him some credit there.
Yeah.
They engage the play, they get the pick. It's just that it was done well to respond.
Yeah, the idea was definitely much better this time from MMD. It wasn't him just teleporting in and dying or anything like that. It was just the Weaver's Wall stymied everything that they were trying to do, and Faker demonstrating why he is such an incredible player once again. Betty now looking for this mid lane outer turret. They get at least half the health bar, but should be SKT able to clear this one up, especially with the 2-item spike from Bang, or just dodges nimbly out of the way of the Ash Arrow. Maple now looking to play frontline. Going to find half the health bar, but Null Magic Mantle doing work there for Bang.
It's a pretty hard target to hit a Callista, but just dodges out of the way, picks left.
Still looks
the
good
Ash Arrow
regardless.
throws right, and he makes it look stylish. Absolutely right. So the Ash Arrow's off cooldown, and SKT, they start to advance.
And Hootie now has a whole bunch of friends. Equalizer comes in, but Wolf manages to get a massive quickness over everyone. And now Hootie continues to dive forward, picks up 1 kill. Maple dies as well. It's a double for Bang, as now Faker's just zoning away 2 people. They'll transition immediately into an inner turret. And can they even take more? They've got waves in
They're
great
looking
positions.
to take more, absolutely. They just blasted their way through Flash Wolves. They've got the minion wave ready to go, and this should be the inhibitor with it.
This is looking so incredibly good from SKT. They've looked clean so far. I mean, they're coming off a victory against MVP, so you didn't necessarily know what to expect, but otherwise this team has looked so flawless for so long in the LCK, suffering 1 defeat earlier on in the season. However, They've looked only up from there. And remember, this is the B roster as well. And let's have a look at this one again.
And Huni is kicking this off because he knows how close his team is nearby. And the MVP of all of these is always going to be Wolf because he gets knocked in by Bang. And again, that's the Kalista Rakan combo that you're talking about. Big stuns to follow it up. But Wolf gets the 3-man knock-up, gets the 3-man charm, and does a lot of this by keeping Huni alive, who is built relatively tanky.
Yeah.
Having that early Spectre's Cal is all he needs.
That's all he's been sitting on this whole time. Does complement it with those Mercury Treads, so he's not going to be taking as much magic damage or being CC'd for too long. But now going towards that Titanic Hydra, finishes off the Trinity Force there as well.
Has the Fist of Jaurum, I believe it is.
Yeah, that's the one. I never really opt into saying that because I can't say Jaurum very well. Jaurum.
Okay, when you say it, you know what? Fair enough.
See? I was just demonstrating the fact that I can't say it. I mean,
I will accept
what
that.
What are you expecting? Goodness me. Silent Achiever, though, for SKT is certainly Peanut. 3-0-6 now. Of course, his Elise has always been a key pick for him, but now building towards his Banshee's Veil. Have 3 items if you include his Runic Echoes.
Yeah, a lot of the crowd control has, in fact, been hitting from Peanut. He was a big part of the early game success coming out of SKT in this game. And
whoa, it's now casually a 10,000 gold lead.
Yep, it has just accelerated its way up, of course, through that bottom lane inhibitor and the team fight before it. That was 2 in a row, massive gold advantages Forge itself, and Flash Wolves past the point of on the back foot. We're at the point where Ashe just needs to pray that the Ashe arrow hits with the one target that's available to hit, and then you go down the line of SKT and you're like, okay, it's Elise.
Yeah.
Right now, but it's about to be Banshee, so it's no longer Elise in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then it's Jax, but you also don't want to engage onto the Jax. And then it's Rakan, but then he gets Fate's called.
So there is not a target.
Just not, yeah.
Yeah.
Bad news. But right now, I guess it is theoretically Peanut, but the Equalizer does go down, clears out the minion wave at least, and Huni takes a lot of damage. He's looking for the 5v5 Jax play. Redemption gets a lot of the health bars back. Huni probably wants to head towards A side if he jumps onto a minion.
Yeah, unfortunately, not for Huni. He's not going to get enough health back. He's still going to hang around, has teleport, so he's able to expend his health as a bit more of a resource for sieging and securing structures. As Faker, he's going to zone them all away.
And in goes Wolf. Grand Entrance gets the double knock-up, the double seismic shove as well. The team play from SKT looking great. Double kill for Faker is going to come out, and Wolf just gets punted into nowhere, and because he doesn't have to, there's no one left to kill.
SKT can actually choose to end the game right now. They've got Huni going back to base, he's got teleport, do it to the minions, and suddenly this could just be game over at 26 minutes.
One Nexus turret is going to fall down. They have super creeps to follow up here as there's the teleport, keeping that minion alive. Peanut looks for the cocoon, finds it, lots of damage as Huni's just going to dive his way forward, but this is just to buy space.
It's just gorgeous.
Now SKT just looking to try and kill them on this fountain. Nexus falls down so incredibly quickly, and that is the evaporation of the Flash Wolves and just surgical play. After that mid game, there were a few question marks there. Flash Wolves showing some signs of life, but after that point, SKT had every answer and there was no way back in.
And you